I bellowed. "We had to fight back, or we'd all be dead. Are you listening?" "There's no need to get ugly," said Phineas. His voice was mild, but his eyes kept flicking outside to the tied-up men, as if he were weighing the risks on all sides. LJ pressed the bloody cloth against his cheek. "Phineas, you listen to me now," he said quietly. "It's time, Phineas. It's time to put an end to it. The violence, all the hatred against coloreds in this town. These Ku Kluxer gangs are tearing Eudora apart, limb from limb. People are living in fear, black and white. You know me, Phineas. I've lived here all my life. I was there tonight. I saw what happened. I demand as a citizen of this town that you arrest these men for murder, right now." Eversman pulled his chenille bathrobe snug around his skinny body. He refashioned the knot in the belt, then made his way past us, outside to the wagon. "Evening, Phineas," said one of the raiders with a chuckle. "I sure am sorry these bastards decided to wake you up for no good reason." Eversman didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. I thought I heard a quiver in his voice, but he spoke loud and clear. "You men are under arrest for trespassing, assault with a deadly weapon, and he couldn't seem to get the word out, so I helped him. And first-degree murder." Eversman glanced at me. He swallowed hard. "And first-degree murder," he said. The men set up a howl. A dour, wiry man yelled, "Because that nigger-lover Corbett says so?" Eversman's voice had lost its tremor. "And because his complaint is supported by our most outstanding citizen, Mr. Stringer," he said. "Mr. Stringer is indeed outstanding," I said. "But Chief Eversman will also find that my complaint is fully and completely supported by a person even more esteemed than L.J. Stringer, if you can imagine that." The wiry man in the wagon cast an ugly eye on me. "And who the hell that?" "His name," I said, "is Theodore Roosevelt." Part 5. The Trial at Eudora. Chapter 89. Jackson Henson, the harried senior personal assistant to the president, entered the Oval Office with a blood-red leather folder under his arm. He took one look at the president and dropped the folder. The morning's correspondence scattered all over the carpet. Telegrams and official greetings from the King of England, the Shah of Persia, and the Japanese ambassador, letters from congressmen, ordinary citizens, and all manner of federal bureaucrats. "Hardy har har!" The president was laughing and singing. Also, he was dancing a jig. He was waving a golden Western Union telegram in the air as he capered in a circle behind his desk. "Is anything the matter, sir?" Jackson Henson asked. "Does it look like there's anything the matter, Henson?" "Well, sir, I've never actually seen you dancing, except at state dinners. Never at your desk." "This is the first time I've ever been happy enough to dance at my desk," Roosevelt said. "Read this." He thrust the telegram at Henson and collapsed onto a sofa, out of breath, but still chuckling and congratulating himself. Henson scanned the telegram. It was stamped 11:50 p.m. of the previous night, signed Cross and Corbett, and originated from a telegraph station in Macomb, Mississippi. The report described in detail events that had occurred during the previous several days: lynchings, Klan meetings, the attack of the White Raiders, the gun battle, the arrest of 3 raiders on charges of first-degree murder. It was this last piece of information that so delighted the president. "There it is!" Roosevelt shouted. White men charged for killing black men, right down there in the heart of Dixie. Now let Du Bois and that Barnett woman try to tell me I have ignored the Negro problem." Henson's eyes came up from the telegram. "It is excellent news, sir." "Worth dancing about, Henson?" "Well, sir, certainly." For a moment, Jackson Henson feared that President Roosevelt was going to make him dance. "Do you know why I am fortunate enough to receive this most excellent news, Mr. Henson?" "Why is that, sir?" Roosevelt peered around the sofa. "Where'd you go, Henson?" "I'm here, sir, picking up the mail." "Never mind that, Henson. Get your pad, will you? I gave Margaret the afternoon off. I want to send my congratulations to Abraham Cross and Ben Corbett. What shall it be, then? A letter or a wire?" Henson took a little notebook and pencil from his vest pocket. "Those men must have thought I'd forgotten all about them." He laughed, a big, booming Roosevelt laugh. "I think I showed great wisdom not to respond to their first report, but to let them draw their own conclusions as to what should be done." "Yes, sir, it most certainly was wise of you." Henson was often amazed at the depth and breadth of the president's self-regard. He licked the point of his pencil. Roosevelt perched on the edge of his desk, mindful of the fine figure he cut as he dictated his message of congratulations. "What a magnificent ending to this project!" the president exclaimed. Chapter 90. Phineas Eversman's first act was to release 2 of the 5 prisoners. He told us it was for lack of evidence, but I assumed there was some family connection. There had to be. This was Mississippi. I was so surprised and impressed that the chief had actually arrested the other 3 men that I offered no word of protest. The 3 still in custody were named Chester Madden, Henry Wadsworth North, and, ironically enough, Lincoln Alexander Stevens, a man whose name evoked both the great emancipator and the dwarfish vice president of the Confederacy. Henry North was the red-headed bully I'd encountered before at Jenkins Mercantile. Some folks called it the Niggertown trial, others called it the White Raider trial. The Norlands Item dubbed it that mess in Eudora. Whatever people called it, everyone was obsessed with it. The citizens of Eudora were divided on the issues, but they certainly weren't evenly divided. A small group welcomed the prospect of punishment for the violent, night-riding raiders, but many folks, unbelievable as it might seem, thought the raiders were being treated unfairly. The Eudora Gazette, a weekly 4-sheeter usually devoted to social notes, was now publishing 5 days a week, churning out a breathless new front-page report on the White Raider trial every day. The formerly lazy and slow-moving editor Japheth Morgan was a whirl of energy, placing expensive telephone trunk calls nearly daily to consult with his unimpeachable sources of information in the capital. Japheth Morgan had never worked this hard before. He was losing weight and smoking cigarettes one after another. He had dark circles under his eyes. "You'd best settle down a bit, Japheth," LJ told him. "This trial could end up being the death of you." "But you don't understand," Japheth answered. "For me and for the Gazette, this isn't the opportunity of a lifetime. It's the trial of the century." The trial of the century. As soon as he said it, I knew it was true. This was the trial of the century, not just for Eudora, not just for Mississippi, but for the entire country. Chapter 91. Notice how nobody complains about the heat anymore. LJ said to me one morning over breakfast at his home. Nobody talks about the mosquitoes or the price of cotton or any of the things that mattered before. None of those things means a damn now. All anybody cares about is the trial. I had to smile. I wouldn't know what you're talking about, LJ, since nobody in this town speaks to me. Maybe they're like me. They just hate talking to a damn lawyer. I'd been given a bedroom on the second floor at LJ's, with a sitting room attached and a small balcony where my first cup of coffee was served every morning. There were fresh sheets, starched and ironed every day, the best sausages for breakfast, aged beef for supper. Most important, LJ posted 3 armed guards around the house, one at the front, one in the back, and one baking on the roof. At LJ's, I'd gotten the first really good night's sleep I'd had since coming back to Eudora. LJ's wife, Allegra, bustled into the dining room. "Japheth Morgan insists on seeing you two right now," she said. Indeed, Morgan did mean right now. He had followed Allegra and was standing directly behind her. In his hand was a fresh broadsheet, the ink still shiny. At the top of the page, in enormous type, I saw the word extra. "I thought you two gentlemen would want to be the first to read this," Morgan said. LJ shook his head. "What the hell have you done now, Japheth?" Morgan began to read aloud. "The Mississippi Office of Criminal Courts has announced the venue and date for the proceedings currently known far and wide as the White Raiders trial. Following a ruling by the Mississippi Supreme Court, the prosecutor's petition for change of venue has been denied, and the trial will be held in Eudora, Mississippi, scene of the alleged offenses." "Well, hell, that's no big surprise," LJ said. "We all knew nobody else wanted to grab hold of this hot horseshoe." "I agree," I said. "It's disappointing, but it does provide us with our first proper grounds for appeal." "Appeal to whom?" said LJ. "The Supreme Court has ruled." "There's another Supreme Court in Washington," I said with a wink. Japheth looked relieved. "Do y'all want to hear this or not?" "Please," LJ said, straightening his face into a serious expression. "Please, read on." "Jury selection will begin on August the 14th at 10 o'clock p.m., he read. "God damn, what is that, next Monday?" "That's 6 days from today," LJ said. "Ben, you're going to have to scramble." Wait, Japheth said. He read slowly, emphatically. "Further, the Supreme Court has exercised its judicial discretion to appoint a judge to oversee this important and much-noted trial. The judge appointed is—" Japheth glanced over to make sure we were listening. We absolutely were. Then he read on. "The judge appointed is a lifetime citizen of Eudora, the Honorable Everett J. Corbett." Chapter 92. Son of a bitch. It was not illegal for the Mississippi Supreme Court to appoint my father to preside over a trial in which I was assisting the prosecution. Not illegal, but wildly unusual and absolutely deliberate. I could have fought it, but I already knew that I wouldn't. It gave us a second, decent ground for the eventual, inevitable appeal. Most people in town, Japheth reported, were positively delighted with the news. Everyone knew that Judge Corbett was fair and honest and sensible. Judge Corbett understands the true meaning of justice. That is exactly what I am afraid of, I said. Having spent the first part of my life listening to my father pontificate, I knew one thing for certain. He might cloak himself in eloquence, reason, and formality, But underneath it all, he believed that although Negroes might be